cool. Here we go.
The people will come back at 8:05, so give them 2 more minutes to finish their cookie break.
Okay. So sleep deep, Llama.
Hi, Tim.
Isabel, can you test your translation, please?
Sure.
It is. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Is it Napoche?
Hey, Mr. Band, it's time.
Okay, let's do it. Term 11, class 1, homework. Though the consequence branch of the middle way does believe in working things, there's a lower school equivalent term, a term that they use in the lower school, which in that school is equivalent to working things, that the consequence branch of the middle way school denies. What's the Tibetan term, first of all? Anyone?
Ransen?
Say again? You're a little quiet.
Ransen?
Yeah, Rangsen. What do you think? How are we going to translate this in English?
Real thing?
Could be. I struggled with this.
Actual thing? Self-exist? No. Working? No. Probably real is the best.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's see if the next part of this gives any clarity. What's the problem? Why is the consequence branch cranky about the idea of a Rangsen?
Because we don't accept things can exist by nature.
Yeah, right. What's the Tibetan for that? Do you know? Super famous Tibetan phrase.
Rangi Tseniki Drupa.
Yeah, right. Cool. Look how smart everybody. Yeah. So, you know, my fantasy, this is the hard thing about translating this word for me. And I don't know, we can workshop it, but it would be nice. You see, since they don't accept Rangtsens because they don't accept Rangitseniki Drupas, how are you going to do that in the English? You know, how are we going to come up with a translation for Rongsen, or is it just hopeless? You see, where when we say they don't accept, you know, whatever the things themselves or something, because they don't accept that a thing can exist itself by some nature or something. I don't know. It'd be nice, since the problem echoes the Tibetan of the term so neatly. I don't know. You guys got to think about it for me. I'm not sure if I'm satisfied. Any other spontaneous ideas, or should we move on? Moving on. Moving on. Very good then.
It wouldn't be manifestation because that's a second school idea of that phrase, right? The
Well,
archetype.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree.
Right. Right. And the other problem is we've used this across schools in this text. And so this, I went back and checked, this is the third use of this term so far in this text. And it sure would be neat if we could be consistent, because then when this term comes up, you know, someone could say, oh, hey, where did that come up before? Since this is the higher school complaining about a lower school. Yeah, I don't love manifestation in this context either, but we got to think about it. Okie dokie. Whoops. According to the independent branch of the middle way school, what two things are necessary in order for a thing to exist? Tibetan and English.
Ooh. Lo Name, unmistaken state of mind.
Yeah, right.
And I'm trying to the thing appearing, but what's the Tibetan? Angupo?
No, super easy word for appearance. The most obvious one, maybe.
Oh, Nang?
Nangwang.
Yeah, no.
Nangwang.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Yeah, right. Super. Uh-huh. Yeah. Must appear to an unimpaired state of mind. Uh-huh. Loname and Nangwa. Yeah, great. In English and Tibetan, give the two types. Okay, you got a three-parter here, okay? Or a two-parter with two parts and then one part. In English and Tibetan, give me, okay, the two types of existence that the lower middle way branch accept, which are rejected by the higher middle way, and then give me the type of existence which both sides deny. So first give me the two that the Svatantrika, the independent group, do accept, that the higher middle way don't accept.
Any parts that exist from their own side.
Yeah, right. Tibet.
Someone else can get that money.
Chache,
From its own side.
Rangit Senikidruba. Rangune.
Yeah, Rangune. Yeah, Rangune. Yeah, good. That's it. Uh-huh.
And it has some nature of its own inside of it.
Yeah, what's the other one in Tibetan? Just had it.
Rangit Senikidruba.
Rangi Teniki Drupa.
Yeah, cool, great. Yeah, right. Okay. Oh,
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 shit.
I'm sorry, there should be a wrong. Basically right. Yeah, yeah.
Rangshinkidrupa, same as Rangit Senikidrupa.
Well, no, not necessarily, right? I don't think it is the same.
Nature.
Yeah, I think Rongxing is different, although,
Different.
you know, might be a good meditation.
Yeah, right. To meditate on the difference. What
Yep.
What do both sides reject?
What do you
Say-
think the
say
thing
yeah.
was? What
Uh,
is real? What do you think the thing is?
Oh, yeah, there's a nice type of
Self-
existence.
substantially in the sense of being self-standing or self-standing.
This is the main one. Well, that's true that they both would deny that, but what I'm looking for is the one that is sort of the most famous one that you have to agree to if you're a middle way person, whether you're higher or lower. That kind of makes you a middle way person. There's a particular type of
I love
existence.
the way you said that. I love the way you said that.
Okay, cool.
Are just images or names?
Not
Right.
what I'm looking
That's the way they do accept, right? Tukbe tuk some.
The hint, if I were gonna give a hint, I would say, maybe Satya?
Oh, a danger.
Yeah, right, cool. Dembar Drupa. True existence, or that a thing could truly exist.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna unshare my screen. Somehow, how will I do that? I don't know how to. I can do it. I can do it. Here we go. Stop share.
Start share.
Cool.
Good?
Yeah, very good.
Okay, that was a great homework. Okay, I got stuck here and I figured it out. So as Ben pointed out, first our author, do you want to do a Sashi, by the way?
Sashi Puki Jukshin Metok Drum Rirab Lingshin Yende Gempadi Sangye Shingdu Mikte Uwargi Dokun Namdak Shingla Juparsho Irang Guru Radhamandala Kanir Yatayami Sangye Chudang Soki Chognam La Janchu Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sonam Ki Dola Penchir Sangye Drupar Shok Sangye Chudang Soki Chognam La Janchu Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sonam Ki Dola Penchir Sangye Drupar Shok Sangye Chudang Soki Chognam La Jangchu Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sonam Ki Dola Penchir Sangye Drupar Shok.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm so anxious to show you that I figured it out. Yeah, so as Ben was pointing out, at first they go through the Rangyupa idea, the lower middle way idea. And they say that, and they're mainly focusing on person, right? Not on things, but people are not established through mental images. Wang Tsamki, they are not just established through mental images. There has to be an unaffected state of mind, not drunk, not crazy, not on drugs, right? And as Ben pointed out, equally, there has to be something appearing from the other side. And then they meet in the middle, right? There's a correct state of mind. And on the other side, there's something appearing. And I like to compare it to the parts of the pen, the raw data, and the mind that ties the raw data together with an image that comes out of a karmic seed because they helped people to communicate in the past, okay? I think if you tie it all into ethical behavior, and by the way, it would be very cool if Wang Sha's involved here to do a mind map of all 10 texts that we're working on, because there's a big incest going on between all these texts, you know? So in a way, the Vinaya meets higher Madhyamika on this point, you see? It's very interesting. So anyway, now comes Tangyurwa, okay? And please, we're gonna do this paragraph and I think I figured it out, okay? So please read and Seiji's gonna correct you.
Get ready, Seiji. I'm gonna mess it all up.
We should mess something up on purpose and see if he can.
Totally. Tal Kirwa.
Tangyurwa.
Huh?
Thank you. Good. Tangyurwa ni kasak de korang gel che kitsema la tume ki tangpone ma drupar kansak gel je kitsema ni pensun tune drupe jokche ming Dam tokpe shakpale matapa rangingene drupa shing jungna kansak rangshing drupa tang rangene drupar chokla.
I predict there's another problem with the text here. I bet this was law. Okay.
I did find your nay there. Or sorry, I did find your nay.
Yeah, you might look for this law also. Yeah, this has to be law. Anyway, it's not as important. Now, the higher middle way school, which is called the consequence school, they say the person, right? Because we've been talking about the person. Doesn't exist from the beginning. So that's the nay is important, right? Doesn't exist from the beginning without depending upon, and there's the law used with the tupa, and it should be used down here as well, okay? So without depending upon the accurate perception, which perceives it, which is considering it. So gel means to weigh in the sense of weighing an idea or weighing a decision, okay? Considering a decision. So, giwa kasate koran jajiki semala tumeki dambone madupa. The higher school does not accept that the person could be out there independent of the mind that's perceiving it, okay? It couldn't, the raw data could not be there without the perception, without the mind perceiving it.
Korang like by itself?
Which is to say, there's no nangwa, okay? There's no independent nangwa. Treating the appearance of the object from its own side, the 50% coming from the object before the mind meets it, not possible. Because in the higher school, the 50% coming from the object would also be created by the mind. The raw data is created by the mind. The raw data is a product of mental images coming out of karmic seeds, okay? And you could apply that to the parts of the pen that were on the table before the dog and the human came back in the room. Okay, let me close the door because they're working on my road again.
Kansak did korang like by itself or that
It,
guy?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, a person, it's not the case that the person is there from the beginning, tambone, okay, to appear to an unaffected state of mind. Got it?
Okay.
It's not the case that there's a person out there who can appear to an unaffected state of mind before he's created by the mind.
Yeah.
Okay, dambone, from the beginning, okay? So it's not the case that without a mind there to give it a mental image and pull the parts together, okay?
Yeah.
There's no person out there who could appear this way, right? Towards me, okay? That's the nangwa part, okay? But then, so the first half of this sentence is describing how the higher middle way does not accept something which could appear from its own side before it was met by the unaffected state of mind. Okay, got it?
Yes.
All right, dambone, before it was perceived by the unaffected state of mind, okay? That there was something out there, raw data, that was appearing to the mind before it was perceived by the mind. No such thing, okay? According to this school, higher middle way, okay?
Yes.
But then he says something difficult. And this is where I got stuck last time. He says, look, and here we go to the definition of dependent origination, which is terdrup, terne drupa. Okay, that's the short definition of tenda, tenjing del or chunga. Okay, in Sugang's text, terdrup means dependent origination, but here it's mutual.
Oh, Penson.
So it's not like the result depends on the cause. Okay, it's mutual. The cause also depends on the result. Okay, and this is a very famous idea which is discussed by Pabonko Rinpoche, and he calls it the spear idea. Okay, and let's talk about it, then we'll go back. And it's called Dung Tung, which means a short spear. And I remember when I was translating the Principal Teachings of Buddhism, which is the ACI 1 reading, you can find it in there. But Pabonko Rinpoche and Tsongkhapa, towards the end of his poem, they say, look, this is all mutual. It's not just that the result depends on the cause. The cause also depends on the, it's not just that the result depends on the cause, but the cause depends on the result. It's pensin, it's mutual dependence, like the sticks of a tripod that you use for cooking over a campfire. Okay, so it's meant to give you the idea of three sticks, or you could say two iron rods, independent. Cause and effect, obviously effects depend on causes, but Tsongkhapa makes the point that causes also depend upon effects. And that feels strange because effects happen after causes. So, you could say that the effect depends on the cause. That's not a problem because the effect happens after the cause. But how can you assert that the relationship is mutual? How can you say pensin de drup? How can you say that causes depend on results? Okay.
Right. Because that's the definition of a cause.
Right. You can't call a seed a cause until the tree comes out.
Right.
So
Yeah.
in that sense, in terms of nominalization, what you call things, the seed cannot be termed a cause until the result comes out. Okay. Now, results depend upon causes in the sense that causes produce them, but causes depend upon results in the sense of naming. You can't call a seed a cause until a tree comes out. Okay. So, that's pensin drup to drup. Okay.
Now, Lama,
Yeah, go ahead.
the two things that he's talking about as depending upon one another are the consoc, the person, and the thing which is considered to be the mind, like as a candidate for the consoc, or
Nope, it's right here. Here's the two things:
consoc.
person
Yeah.
and the perception of the person. Person and the perception of the person, he says, in the higher middle way, are mutually dependent. Okay. And that's where I got stuck. He says, and that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Now we're not talking about cause and effect anymore. Okay. We're talking about an object and a perception of that object. Okay. Does the object trigger the perception?
Yes.
Yeah. But does the perception trigger the object?
It seems we would have to say.
Yeah. You can't call something an object until it's perceived.
That's badass. That's wonderful.
That's badass. Yeah, that's really badass. So I hope you can remember all this when you get there a couple of weeks from now. Okay, so the higher middle way school, the first part is what they don't accept, and the second part is what they do accept. Okay, the first part says, look, we don't believe there was a person out there to do the appearing to the unaffected state of mind. We believe that person was also created by the mind. And I like to say, the parts of the pen before you walked in the room. Okay, the raw data. The lower middle way school has a problem with saying that parts of a pen on the table before you walked in the room are also coming from your mind. They have a problem with that.
And that's indicated by the terme, basically, that it's like not dependent.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, this to me means is not a creation of your mind.
Right.
Yeah. This to me means that. Exactly. Yeah. It's not a thing that was created by dependent origination in the sense of a karmic seed opening and creating it.
Mhm.
Okay. Got it?
Mhm.
So look, there was no parts of a pen on the table before you walked in the door. If there were parts of a pen on the table before you walked in the door, they have to be existing from their own side.
Okay.
They
So
have
it's
to be nangwa. They
Okay.
have to be appearing to the mind.
it's sema la terme.
How can they be a creation of the mind before you walked in the door? Okay. Rather, the parts of the pen and the mind which sees the pen are actually, then the guy goes crazy. Then he says they are mutually dependent. Forget that the raw data is coming from you. The mind which perceives the raw data is coming from the raw data. You know, so he's like freaking out. Okay, he threw in a harder thing. Okay, so chew on that. Okay.
So this is why then the consequence branch says Ming draw and not just draw.
I'm sorry, say again.
Is this why the consequence branch says Ming draw and not just draw?
Yeah, you want to say Ming Da, yeah. Ming Da, Ming De Taktam, yeah. You could go there, Okay, here we go. Jokche Ming Da, yeah, here it is. Tope Shapa La Matupa, it should be La.
I've got law here in at least one version.
Okay, good, it should be La. Rangi, it's funny how a typist, who maybe got hired yesterday can cause me an hour of suffering. But anyway, Jokche Mingdam Tope Shak Bala Matupar, without depending on this process of imagination, right? Topa, or naming, okay? Without this process, any person, kansak, which could exist from its own side, okay?
Lama, can I ask you to put it onto one
yeah.
page?
Yeah, we can do that. Hang on. Okay. Joke checking. The state of mind which establishes the thing, right? Through names, meaning through mental images coming out of karmic seeds, right? Which is the Da. Ming, it's true that things are creations of names, but that's not the big thing. It's the Da that's interesting, okay? The Da is the mental picture coming out of your mind. Which was planted there, which is coming out of a karmic seed. And that's where Madhyamika meets Vinaya. And that's so awesome. The higher school meets the lower school, Mingdam Tope Shakpa, Jokpa, creation of ideas, okay? Creation of pictures coming out of your mind, okay? And if you want to talk about a concept that could exist, not depending on this process of naming with mental images, well, that's what we call Rangshinki Drupa. And that's what we call Rangune Drupa, okay? Joke, that's what we call. You want to know what we call exists through its own nature? You want to know what we call existing from its own side? It's any case where you'd have a person which didn't depend on the process of a mental image coming out of a seed that was planted there by how you treated people last week. Okay, got it?
Yeah.
That's what we say is a self-existent person. Okay.
Jokje?
Got it? By the way, yeah. Where's Jokje? Where's Jokje?
the beginning of this sentence.
Um,
Right after your notes. No, you're there. Jokjae Ming
oh,
Dan.
yeah, establisher, which establishes the existence of an object. Okay. By the way, that's the same verb as shock. Okay, so just be sensitive to that point, to that idea. Joke and shock are the same here. The same word. This is just a past tense. Okay. So what jokje here means establishing, which means creating. Okay, creating. This object, the person that you're looking at when you look at Kendra, what's creating her is this process of images coming out of seeds in your mind. Therefore, she is a product of a process of idealization or some tokpa. This doesn't mean wrong idea, okay? It just means a process of thought, okay? And if you want to talk to me about a concept that could exist independent of this process of pictures coming out of the mind, then that's what I would call exist by definition. Sorry, exist by some nature of its own, or exist from its own side, okay? Now, there's a difference between the two Madhyamika schools, as you've been sensitized to in the last class. Between Rangune Drupa is easy. Let's go to the easy one. In the lower middle way, can something Rangune Drupa?
Yes.
Yeah, it can exist from its own side. The husband in the kitchen, at least 50% of him can be coming from his side without the process of naming, okay? So obviously, Rangune Drupa for the lower middle way doesn't mean Demba Drupa,
Right.
okay? They say, yeah, things can exist from their own side, but they can't exist really. And you said so eloquently in your homework, you know, both middle way schools say things are not real, okay? Demba Drupa is bad for both of them, okay? Now, this one gets harder, okay? So look, Rangune Drupa, existing from its own side, that's obvious, okay? In the lower middle way, the husband you look at has to come from his own side in some sense, has to come. Some part of him has to come from its own side. And then 50% comes from us. So that one's easy. But, and this is where Betts got into it this morning. Can the lower middle way say that things exist through some nature of their own? Can the lower middle way say things do exist through some nature of their own?
They do.
Yeah, and for the same reason.
Yeah.
Some stuff is coming from its side, okay? There's something in it. There's something in the husband in the kitchen before you walked in the kitchen. There's got to be something in, he's got to have some nature of his own because he's appearing from his side. Okay, got it? So appearing from its own side and existing through some nature of its own, these two concepts are connected. These two ideas are connected. To exist from your own side is to have something in you that's appearing this way. Got it?
Yeah,
It's
Lama,
tough.
I'm struggling just a little bit to connect Ming and Da to this idea of mutual dependence, right? It seems like the first and second half of a thought that he's saying, look, these things are mutually dependent on one another, and that's why you have to have Ming and Da.
Well, he doesn't really, that's not the main point here,
Okay.
but you could go there. You could go there. A name is not a name until it refers to something. And a thing is not a thing until you name it. Okay. So it's like cause and effect.
So the first,
You can't call it a cause until the effect comes out.
okay.
But you can't have an effect till the cause happens. And then the gardener would say, well, that proves it's all messed up. You can't have B until you have A, and you can't have A until you have B. So it's,
Okay. So he's saying two things. He's not necessarily saying that the first half of this paragraph implies the other. But he's telling us two things about the difference between these schools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's explaining why in the lower middle way, you can say, here's the easy part, that some part of the object is coming from its side,
Right.
because it has to. There
Sure,
has to be
the mind.
something to appear that an unaffected state of mind can gel, can meet, right?
Yeah.
But this is more difficult. If there's part of an object coming from its side, then we can say, as Beth said so eloquently this morning, that there's something in that object. Okay, which is its nature, which means naturally, right? There's something inside the object that's appearing to the unaffected state of mind. Okay, so these two words, these two expressions, to exist by nature, meaning to exist by something that is inside of it, and to exist from its own side, they are both rejected by the higher middle way, and they are both accepted by the lower middle way, and therein lies the difference between the two schools, okay? They both reject Dembadrupa, okay? Now, if you want to go on, if you want to get more confused, go to Rankitsenikidrupa, to exist by definition. And, you know, even on your homework, we were kind of flirting between the two, right? Rankitsenikidrupa and Rangshinkidrupa. I think you can say they're almost equivalent, okay? Cool, man?
Yeah, very.
So by the way, we just finished Gansaki Dagme. Okay, we weren't even talking about all the stuff in the world. We were talking about people. We were talking about the husband in the kitchen. Okay, we were talking about people. So far here, we were talking about Kongsak. See, Kongsak. Okay, this whole thing was a discussion about Kongsaks. Okay, now anticipatory translation. What's coming next? What should he discuss next?
Things.
Things.
The emptiness of things, okay? Now, we've discussed exists through some nature of its own, exists by definition, exists from its own side, and exists truly, really. We've discussed those ideas, but only with regard to Kansak, okay? Let's go on to Ch, okay? So part of translating well is to anticipate what should be coming next. If you wrote this book, what would be the next thing you would write about? And I was flirting with the idea of writing a commentary to Shantideva myself in Tibetan, if we can't find a good one. But what I'm saying is, it's one thing to translate it and to anticipate what's coming next, but try to put yourself in the head of the writer. Pretend you're Choni Lama sometimes when you're translating Choni Lama. Pretend you're Choni Lama and close your eyes and say, what would I write next? You know, and then you can be a great translator. You see what I mean? You can pretty much write the next paragraph yourself, and then you open your eyes and you say, oh, he got it right, you know? Okay. All right, here we go.
Ngune drupa shik jung na.
Wait, I wanted you to start from Dermadrup.
Oh yeah. Dharma drupa te kansaki dagme. Oh, kansaki dagme tamor she de shindu che shen la yang rikpa jorte. Pumpo tang pum sok rang shime pa che ki dagme tamo yino.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dermadrupa, the fact that the person doesn't exist from its own side or through some nature of its own or by definition, okay? That's what we call, who's we?
The upper middle way.
Yeah, that's what we share. That's
Yeah.
what we accept.
Yeah.
That's our position
Yeah.
on subtle lack of a self to people,
Right.
lack of a self nature. And this repetition of May is, you know, the guy was drunk or something. Okay. And now, De Shindu means what?
Yeah, and likewise, or you know,
Yeah,
just the same.
Jor the Ripa to Shin.
Oh, Jortha,
And this Rigpa means logic.
yeah, follow the same logic for the other thing, which is
Yeah, apply, Jorwa, right? Like yoga,
yeah.
huge. Apply the same reasoning to other things,
Uh-huh.
and you'll come out with Pumbo
Hmm.
and Boompa.
Cool.
Arangshin Mepa.
Yeah.
Heaps of a person and refrigerators in the kitchen when you're understanding your husband's lack of self-existence are subtle form of the lack of a self-existence to things.
Right.
Okay. Now we were bragging yesterday or the day before about how real Madhyamikans understand that the emptiness of things is the emptiness of the parts to the person and not the emptiness of the refrigerator that's over on the side while you're understanding your husband.
Sort
But
of.
he threw in the refrigerator. Okay, he said, yeah, that's also another thing.
Which
Okay.
we sometimes put in the first heap anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you can always get out of it if you say it's in the first heap. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But I would say tantalizingly, he threw in something totally outside of the person. Okay. Which is, a water glass on the table while you're having your fight with your husband. Okay.
Mhm.
While you're understanding your husband's true nature. You can also understand that water glass on the table. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
We got to a hard part. I think we should have okay, anyway, no. Now, we just finished a special discussion, Kepar, about a distinction, a fine distinction that we had to make. What was it about? It was about Rangshin Mepa, Rangiseniki Trupa Mepa, Rangmune Dupa Mepa, and Demba Dupa Mepa. Okay. And the first three are specific to the higher school and not the lower middle way school, right? And the fourth one is accepted by both middle ways. So we drew a fine distinction between Rangshin Mepa and Demba Mepa, okay? We drew a fine distinction, okay, between the two middle way schools. Now he promised us we would draw some fine distinctions about the emptiness of a thing that existed substantially in the sense of being self-standing.
Right.
So by anticipatory translation, we're expecting now a discussion about self-standing and substantial. And we're anticipating some kind of distinction being made about it. We don't know what it is yet, but we're anticipating some kind of distinction being made that way. Okay.
Right.
So here we go.
And we needed
I
the
wanted to-
clarification anyway, because he said this was a gross lack of self.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. I was hesitant to agree that the higher middle way would even recognize a less than an ultimate emptiness. They don't accept the idea of degrees of emptiness, okay? That's a lower middle way idea and a lower school idea, okay? But so I want to point out that both of the emptinesses described in the last section for the Prasangika, both of them were trouble. Okay,
So-
the lack of a self-nature to a person and the lack of a self-nature to things. He used the word tamo. See here, kansaki dogme, tamo. Chuki dogme, tamo. Okay, he used subtle for both the lack of a self-existence to people and the lack of self-existence of things. And I assert that there's no other emptiness accepted by the highest middle way school, okay?
Mhm.
He used the word trauma for both of them right here, okay? Up above, he kind of implied, and when you say tamo, it would imply a less tamo, right? Rakpa, a gross lack of self-existence, okay? Which is, by the way, what we're going on to now.
Yeah. Can't they sidestep that by using the word dogme instead of dongba?
Only in the lower schools,
Okay.
right? Only in the lower schools. And by the way, one time at the China Soft Power program for fun, I gave 21, right, Stanley, or 23 synonyms for self-existence or emptiness.
Yeah, all kinds of gotchas. Yeah.
We did like 20 something, and it was
Me too.
fun. It was really fun. And in the higher middle way, they're all the same thing. Okay, they're all equivalent. Okay, here we go. So part 2 here is gonna be a discussion of what again?
Rangya tupezeye.
Yeah, substantial in the sense of self-standing, which, by the way, I've never seen a better presentation of it than in Betts's text. So if we have any trouble, we can go to Betts's text. Okay, here we go. Please read. So gang, you are fixing Master Kramer.
Sure.
Cool. Ibani nang de nema bube kansak takchik rangwang changi kiepar sumbo de dongba kansaki dakme tamor de dele shembe chedak mawa pel chertang do deba semsamba rangyupa namgi rangyatupe zeye kitongpa ni kansaki dakme tamor de ching.
Okay, cool.
Your hair is standing, actually.
He's trying to find something to criticize.
10 hours getting it to do that.
Look, so gang, once you lose that hair on the top, you don't mind it anymore.
I'm sorry.
I'm living the
Okay,
dream.
here we go. Nang De means what?
Those on the inside, is this insiders? Is this Buddhists?
Yeah, exactly. The Buddhist group. So first of all, he wants to say, look, there is a, what do you call it? Rogue Buddhist group.
The Vatsiputriyas.
Yeah. Why are they called that? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Oh,
Uh,
they follow a guy named Vatsiputra.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Check Ben's text, okay?
I'll do that.
So these weird, and by the way, they are Vaibhashikas. They belong to the Abhidharma school, which
Right.
proves why Stanley is weird. Okay, they say,
And they accepted some kind of a self, which was Judumepa.
yeah. And by the way, the self they accept that doesn't exist should have 3 separate characteristics. Okay, Keparsum. The self which doesn't exist should have 3 separate characteristics. Tak, Chik, Rangwanchen. What are they?
Unchanging.
Good.
Whole.
Yeah, whole or singular.
Mhm.
And
Self-powered, independent.
yeah, self-powered is perfect. Yeah, something like that. And the lack of those 3 qualities is emptiness. Okay, sorry. The lack of those 3 qualities is the subtle lack of a self to the person. Okay.
For those guys.
Yep. So if you say to a Nema Bupa Vatsyaputra,
Vatsiputrian? I don't know.
okay. If you say to them, hey, what is your lack of self-nature to a person? And more particularly, what is your subtle lack of self-nature to a person? And they will say the fact that the person is A, not unchanging, B, not singular, and 3, self-motivating or self-running. That's our version of the subtle lack of a self to the person, okay?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
Dele Shembeche Mawas,
Yeah, the rest of the Vaibhashikas.
which
The-
is the majority of them, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, it doesn't mean that. The majority of the rest, of the Vaibhashikas, which implies what?
There's
There
some
might
other-
be some other guys who lean with the Vatsiputriyas.
Yeah, good, good. There are other weirdos among the other Vaibhashikas, okay? By implication, okay. I
couldn't-
can't name who they are, but
I mean, it bothers me a little bit. There's also a Jeda Mawa school called Pelcher.
oh no, this is not that. No,
Okay.
that would be Pelchewa.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's not, but it's a good, it's a very good idea to watch out. Okay, so the majority of the other Vaibhashikas, other than these Vatsiputrayas, and the Dodepas,
The Sutrists,
and the Semsampas,
mind only school,
and the Rangipas,
independent branch of the middle way school.
they say that emptiness in the form of being empty of substantial existence in the sense of being self-standing is in fact the Tamo dogma of the concept.
Great. It's the subtle version of the lack of self nature to people.
Yeah. So they agree with them, right?
No.
Oh no,
they-
it's just the Rankyatupa they agree with. How's that?
Right. They would not, they're disagreeing about what is the subtle lack of self to people. The first one says it's Dak Jik Rang Wang Cheng, and the bigger group says that it's Rangya Tupe Zeyit.
Yeah, which is tantalizingly similar to Rangwang Chen. I don't know. You see what I mean? I wonder. I mean, it'd be a nice debate in the debate ground. What's the difference between independent person in the Vatsiputras,
Mhm.
and the substantial person in the other schools? Okay, what's the difference? Okay,
Yeah.
what's the difference between self-standing and independent?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we got to go there someday, but not today. Okay, here we go. Sugang, he also is not wearing a tie. So you can get him on that. Okay, let's go.
Kansag Rangya Tupe Zeye Ki Zin Sultang Drup Sulni Rang Shengi Drupar Zimbe Tangne Kansak Ni Rangi Pumbo La Parn Mi Tupe Wang Gyur Wa Boy Jewo Dabu Tang. Whoa.
Okay.
You look handsome today.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, Kasarangatupedzeya Kidzinso. Well, if you consider, if you're thinking of the person as being substantial in the sense of self-standing, what does that feel like? What does that look like if you're holding that? Okay, if your mind is holding that, well, what's it look like? Okay, what are you thinking in your mind if you are Zen, if you're holding that the person is substantial and the person does exist self-standing? What's that look like? Okay, what are you thinking inside your head? Okay,
Zinsul and Druptul?
yeah, how would you be thinking about him and how would he have to in fact exist?
Okay.
Okay, got it? Well, well, first of all, you would have to be believing that he existed through some nature of his own. Okay, first of all, you'd have to be believing that he existed through some nature of his own. Okay, and then on top of that, okay, another thing you'd have to be believing. Okay, so this thing name means on top of believing the first thing, you'd also have to believe the second thing. Okay, what's that? Kaza ni rangi pumbalo par mitupe wang gyurwa. There would have to be some kind of this is the gyur in Korlo Gyurwe Gyalpo, what chakra vartan. Okay, they would have to be somehow in charge of their body and mind without depending on them. And I think we're getting close to the idea of a soul. Okay. Rangi Pumbala there would have to be someone who doesn't depend on their body and mind, who is in charge of both body and mind. Okay. Like a soul. Or something.
Like a
There'd
king
have
and
to
his
be-
subjects.
Yeah. There would have to be somebody in charge of running the body and mind who didn't depend on the body and mind. And if the body died, if the mind died because the body died, he would still go to heaven, the soul, okay? Some third thing that's the overseer of body and mind. And Jewo means, yeah, a lord, as opposed to a servant, okay? So this is an important tiny word.
Yeah.
Jewo means somebody who's in charge of, who's running the body and mind. And if the body died and then the mind died because the body died, he would still be around. Okay, he doesn't depend on them, but he's in charge of them. He runs them, but he tells the arm to go up, and he tells the mind to shut up during meditation, but he's not the body and mind. He's independent of them, okay? They depend on him, but he doesn't depend on them, okay? Got it? In the sense that he's their boss. He tells them what to do, okay? You can tell, you can read the sentence as the guy who tells the body and mind what to do, okay? Got it?
Some guy like that.
And that's what it would look like if you thought the person was Rangyatupa, self-standing.
Mhm.
That's what self-standing means. Okay, so that's a big clarification because self-standing doesn't exactly mean that, right? What does self-standing mean in this lower Abhidharma school? It means they believe there's a guy running the body and mind who is not the body and mind. And if the body and mind died, he would still be there, okay?
Mhm.
And they have to listen to what he tells them to do, okay? And the fact that there is no such thing is emptiness, is emptiness and is the subtle lack of a self to the person, according to this lower Abhidharma guy, okay? Yay.
It's
Keep going.
time. It's time.
It's time. Okay. Let's stop there. Now he's gonna, by the way, next he's gonna talk about I don't know. I gotta look. Okay, what is it? Stopped here. The date is 22.
Yes.
22.
Okay, cool. That's really nice that we're getting some clarification about what's the difference between self-standing and what was the other one?
Well, it's
Whole.
really
Oh, self-standing and independent. Okay.
but he's not clarifying that.
I hope he will. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but maybe Betsy's text did, I think. But there's a disturbing difference here between Rangwang Chen, independent, and Rangyatupa, self-standing and substantial in that sense. So we have to explore. Maybe you can check Betsy's text and see if he clarifies it.
Mhm.
It's the same author, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Dashi Puki Jukshin Metok Dram Rirab Lingshin Yende Yempari Sangye Shingdu Mikte Uwargi Dokun Namdak Shingla Juparsho Irang Gurura Namadala Kaniryata Yami Gewa Di Kewokun Sunam Yeshet Sok Shing Sanam Yeshe Le Chungwe. Tampar Kunyi Topar Sho.
Yay.
Thanks, Lama.
Okay, I hope we don't lose all the audience on that book, but
Oh, we can lose them on the next one. Thank you.
if anyone
Thank you, Geshe-la.
survived Ben's class, we can get rid of them in the next class. Okay. Okay.
Adam's up next.
Woo.